What's going on? I'm Marcus, and if you're new to this channel, we're talking finances, financial takes, financial topics, current events, attorney reactions, and sometimes something crazy that I just saw that might be a little outside of finance, but it's just so wild that I gotta address it. In this video, we're going to talk about the 5 steps to never go broke. First, and I'm going to jump right into it. First, you want to get an LLC. Then, once you got your LLC, go get a small business loan. It's like, nah, I'm capping. I was given the fake guru. It always starts with an LLC, then go on and get a business loan, and then buy a duplex and live in one and rent out other. Is wild, but no, we're gonna dive into some real meat and potatoes that everyday people like myself, like you, can use. And I promise you, if you use these techniques over time, you will definitely get ahead financially. As always, I gotta give the disclaimer. Well, as most times, I gotta give the disclaimer. I am a licensed attorney, but I am not your attorney. So, what does that mean for me? It means I'm representing none of y'all out there in YouTube land. So don't come for me for advice. Don't think this is advice. If you need financial advice or legal advice, go find a professional in your area who licensed, barred, insured, bonded, all that other good stuff. Don't come over here talking about DFD told me to do this or do that. No, I'm going to rewind this part of the video and play it in court so that I won't have any liability. So just don't do it. Now, let's talk about the 5 steps that you have to take to never go broke. We're going to start with step number 1. And step number 1 is really the meat and potatoes of the whole thing because it allows you to have an understanding of what the process is, and then you'll know how you can change it. The first step is understanding why people live paycheck to paycheck. Now, we know that 60% of the population don't have like $500 to cover a $500 emergency. A large percentage of the population lives paycheck to paycheck. Now, this living paycheck to paycheck isn't just for people who don't make a lot of money. You have millionaire athletes and entertainers who live paycheck to paycheck. If they don't get out there and make a movie, their ass ain't going to eat. That same concept applies to everybody across the board. We have a lot of people who live paycheck to paycheck. So let's just put in the context the cycle of what causes this, okay? Like most people, well, most people are W 2 employees. Like 90% of the population are W 2 employees. They trade their time and effort and energy for a paycheck for some compensation. So, this is essentially the model that happens when someone is caught up in a paycheck to paycheck nightmare. You get paid. Once you get paid, the first thing that you do is pay your first round of bills. What are your first rounds of bills? Your rent, your utilities, food, your car note, all of those things. What happens after you pay that first round? Then you go on to paying the second round of bills. What's the second round of bills? The Amazon, the Starbucks, the going out with your friends, the getting a haircut, the enjoying the little creature comforts, whatever you call it, enjoying those things that you like to do that cost you money, paying for your subscription services, buying clothes. What happens after this second part of the cycle? You get paid, you pay your first round of utilities, your essentials, you pay your second round of utilities. By the time you get to the second round of utilities, the money is gone. There's no more money. You have to go back to work so you can make money and start that cycle all over again. Work, pay first round, pay second round, everything's gone. Work, pay first round, pay second round. And this is just a cycle, a continuous cycle of working just to have enough to pay everything that you are obligated to pay and having to start over again. And if anybody has ever been in that cycle, if you're in that cycle now, trust me, I've been in that cycle before. It sucks ass. Hey, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because it sucks. Like, I see people all the time. They say, "Oh man, it's hard to get out of debt and control your finances." You know what's hard? Living paycheck to paycheck. Would you rather live paycheck to paycheck indefinitely or work on your finances, struggle for a short period of time to set yourself up to have a better future? But that's the first step. Now that we got the first step out of the way, we know why people live paycheck to paycheck. We know how that process starts. The second thing you got to do, and this is the first step to being able to exist and enjoy life and not just living life for the purposes of work. The second thing is you have to establish a frugal mindset. Well, I don't want to be frugal, DFD. I like stuff. Frugal has a strict definition, and I got a video where I talk about the difference between frugal, cheapness, and ridiculousness. Those are the three things that can impact that money. Most people fall in one category. Sometimes you can be all three, depending on what it is that you're talking about with money. But establishing a frugal mindset, what that means for me is you don't deprive yourself, but you don't waste as well. You still enjoy the things you want to do, but you're very cautious of waste and excess. So you have to develop frugal habits. Now that we know the pattern that work, get paid, spend money in first round of bills, spend money in second round of bills, go back to work and just repeat that cycle. The first thing you have to do is establish a frugal mindset in that first round of bills. What does that mean? Well, that means you could potentially move into a smaller place to reduce your housing costs. It also means you can potentially find ways to lower your utilities, lower your grocery bills, lower your gas bills. I know that those things are difficult to do with inflation, but establishing a frugal mindset may put you in a position where, like, you know what, I can't go to visit my girl every day. I'm gonna take a couple days off and just chill to myself because she stays 35, 40 minutes away, and I don't want to drive that far and then realize I ain't got enough gas to get to work trying to figure it out, having to get a payday loan or a loan for some app or some crap like that. So you have to establish a frugal mindset and find ways you can reduce your expenses in that first round. What happens once you do that? Now you got to look at your expenses in the second round. Where can you cut money? Is it the Starbucks? Is it the Netflix, Hulu, all of these different subscription services? Is it the clothes? Is it going out with your friends? Once you develop a way to reduce your cost and adopt a frugal mindset in that first round of bills and second round of bills, what will you find yourself with? Actual money. You'll find yourself with actual money. You'll find yourself having access because you don't have to spend everything that you make. Now, also, people can also get additional incomes, but we're just giving some general information, the general 5 steps. Of course, you can always increase your income, but if you increase your income and your spending, what's the point? It makes no sense. But for purposes of what we're talking about, the second step is a frugal mindset. Now that we found ways to cut our expenses and live frugally in that first round of expenses and that second round of expenses, the next thing that we got to do with that excess money is, you guessed it, y'all already knew I was going to talk about it. I just talked about it when I told y'all in my last video that your boy going to be unemployed in 6 months. Establish your emergency fund. Because you adopted that frugal mindset in your first round and second round of bills, now you have a little bit of access. So, what do you have to do to establish that emergency fund? Figure out what amount that you're going to put on autopilot and set aside for an emergency. If you happen to lose a job, if the furnace goes out, if the alternator goes bad, if any emergency comes up, you're going to set this money aside consistently over a period of time so that it can grow, so that you won't have to rely on either going to work to have money to address an emergency, or if you don't got the money because you're over leveraged, getting a credit card or a payday loan or going to the mob or something, worrying about getting your knees broke. So you want to set up that emergency fund. You adopted frugal mindsets. You reduce your costs and expenses in the first round and second round of spending. Now you're taking that money that you saved with your frugal mindset and you're dedicating that set amount to establish emergency fund. Now, this emergency fund, depending on the family, the circumstances, we all come up with our own numbers. It could be anywhere from 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 months of expenses. It depends on how much are your costs, your basic costs to live and have the essentials. If you're a one income household, if you're a two income household, if your employment is stable, if your employment is sporadic, if your income is stable, if your income is sporadic. So you have to make the decision how much of an emergency fund you need. Typically, what we started out with was trying to get $1,000 for every person in our household. Once we got that, we just continued to work our way up to 3 to 6 months and so forth. Okay, now that we're on step 4, okay, we understand why people live paycheck to paycheck and that vicious, disgusting cycle. We understand when you got to adopt a frugal mindset and how you got to put some of those mindsets in place to reduce your expenses in your first round of bills and your second round of bills. We know that, hey, once you reduce those expenses, you're building up the emergency fund. The fourth thing is you have to put your money to work for you. Okay, what does putting your money work to for you means? In short, you have to invest money. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, what should I invest in? I'm not going to tell you what to invest in, but I will tell you you need to invest in something. For me, for my family, we always took this approach. We said we're going to invest in our 401k to get the employer match. Next, after we looked at the 401k, we invested. This was our order of operations: 401k, IRA, or Roth IRA. Then, if you want to do a health savings account and all these other things, you can. Or if you want to create your own brokerage account where you're investing through an app or with a financial institution, you can. But typically, the best way to start for us was our 401k. We know if we invest 5% of our money in that 401k, we get a 100% return because our employer gave us a 5% match. We wanted to max out our 401k, then move on to our Roth, our IRA, then any type of other brokerage accounts that you may have in that order. Now, why is it so important to start investing your money? Because now you have your money working for you. I only got so much time in the day I want to work, then I want to sit on my ass and chill. But your money can work for you essentially 24/7. If you're invested, that money is always making money when the market is open, or you have the opportunity to make money when the market is open. If it's crypto, that market goes on 24/7. If it's real estate, that real estate can appreciate. You can produce rental income. You have to make your money work for you because every dollar that you have as an employee, and hey, your money can work harder and longer than you can, and your money never gets tired of working. But unfortunately, we do, or fortunately, we do. So you have to put your money to work. So now we're on the final step. We got the 4 ways. We know why people live paycheck to paycheck. We know we got to get a frugal mindset and apply that in our first and second round of spending. We got to take that money that we saved from being frugal and start an emergency fund. Once that emergency fund is fully funded, I think I didn't mention this, but once your emergency fund is fully funded, you really don't need to save any more in an emergency fund because you'll lose money due to something called inflation. It's just sitting there. So if your emergency fund, 6 months of expenses is $20,000, there's no need to put 25 or 30 or 40 or continue to increase it. That money that you were putting in an emergency fund, you're going to use that to invest in either 401k, Roth IRA, brokerage account, HSA, some investment vehicle that you should talk to a professional about because I'm not giving y'all no investment advice. Okay, the final thing that you have that you got to do in order to build wealth and get out of this cycle of paycheck to paycheck and to never go broke is you got to be creative and think of additional ways that one, you can enjoy yourself, and two, you can create extra streams of income. What do that means? Well, let's just think about it. If you continue to follow these steps over a period of time, and trust me, this isn't a get rich quick thing, it isn't sexy. This is a methodical way over time to set yourself up for financial success that'll work for most people. So when we're on this last step of being creative and expanding, this applies to one, your ability to live life, and two, thinking of ways that you can find additional streams of income. Once you have an emergency fund and you got so much stability, now you can focus your efforts on what you like to do as opposed to what you have to do to make money just so that you can pay your bills. So now is the options of if you want to go back to school, if you want to change your career, you want to find some meaningful work that you always wanted to do, but you couldn't do because you were tied down by so much debt and so over leveraged financially. Also, it's a good time where people start to look at side hustles or creating another business or business so they can generate additional income. The main thing that we're doing with this model is we're breaking that cycle of work, get paid, spend, go back to work because you're broke as hell. We're breaking that cycle up by carving out this frugality that allows us to save. It allows us to grow our emergency fund over time. It allows us to invest in the long run, and it sets us up for long-term financial success. Like I said, this isn't the sexiest thing at the cocktail party. You will not be the envy of everyone in the room, but what you will have and develop and get is peace of mind, reduce stress from knowing that you have a plan. And I'm gonna give y'all, this is the best piece of this video that you're gonna get right here. Most times when you have a plan with your finances, it's not gonna work. Most times, we plan budgets. I look back over a 12-month period to see how many times I stuck to my budget. Out of 12 months, about 8 of those 12 months, our budget remained intact. 4 of those months, it was just busted to hell. Essentially, what that means is when you come up with a plan, a lot of times your plan may fall short. But trust me, having some type of plan and some type of structure is better than not having anything at all. When you got some type of plan, at least you have a framework that you can stick to where it can guide you to get where you want to go. Imagine driving your car on a road that's paved versus a road that's not paved. At least if you're driving on a paved road, you may not go in the right direction. You may make a wrong turn, you may get lost, but you're not going to fuck up your car. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. You're not gonna mess up your car. Versus if you're trying to get to your destination on a road that's unpaved, it's gravel, it's holes in the ground. You're gonna get stuck in the mud. You'll never make it to your destination because you don't have a smooth path or a way to get there. I don't know. I thought that made sense to me. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, check the video out on the screen. There's going to be more content related to finance and attorney reactions.